Dad, Mom is back there. Alrighty. How's it going, everybody?
Hi. Good.
Good. All right. You guys get to ignore the messy bun and t-shirt tonight because I was plugging away on my own work. So
No judgments.
awesome. Love it.
We're doing math. Are we doing math today?
No, we're gonna work on state stuff today. We can do math again next week.
Dang it. Okay.
Or did
I
you need
cannot
some?
find my bag. No, I just cannot find my backpack that I brought in the other day. I cannot find it. I don't know. Of course,
know
I
you
tried to
left
look
with
for it. No, yeah, I know that. I
Oh,
just,
okay.
of course, can't try to look for it 2 minutes before this started.
No worries. No worries. So we are gonna work on state stuff. Let me pull up exactly what we're doing. Hold on.
Oh, and I did write down questions that I had.
Love it. Hit me.
You get your stuff ready and then I'll get this ready.
I didn't hear you. What?
Let me grab it quick. I want to know, I just want to learn more about the types. I need help with the types of estates. The freehold, less than freehold. This is just quick notes that I was writing while I was doing stuff when I was listening to a video. So let me try to read through my writing. Estate for years, real property, the fixtures, real property fixture, fixtures and personal property, 2 different types of liens.
Okay.
That's just more stuff I want to learn about.
Yeah. So we're gonna work on a few of those things tonight.
Okay.
It'll kind of go together. So that's perfect. And if I don't explain it well enough, then I can help for sure. Perfect. All right, let's jump in. We'll get started. So Gonar, are you there? I want to make sure that you can hear.
Yeah, Star, I was just having some trouble setting up my headphones. Are you able to hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. I'm in a coffee shop, so sorry if there's a little bit of background noise.
No worries. You know what I can do? I will turn on the chat too. That way, if it's like super loud, or we can't hear you, you can just throw something into the chat.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I will. If for some reason I missed something in there, just come on, yell at me, and then go back. But I get it. Okay. So we are going to congrats on passing national. That is great.
Oh, awesome. Good for you.
So we are.
How many times? Was it hard? Tell all.
It wasn't crazy. I mean, I took it took me 3 times. The first time I got a 70, or first time I got a 65 out of a 75. Second time I got a 74 out of 75. It just missed the mark. And then the last time I passed it pretty with flying colors. It was just for me, the national exam was like, once I shaped up my math a little bit, I think that really helped it. On the state one, there wasn't any math. I don't remember. It was more just like really little details, like disclosures and like certain days that you have to get stuff back to tenants, or certain days that you have to give a notice for eviction. Just like little details like that were kind of fuzzy when I got on the exam. But
right,
yeah,
it's crazy because a lot of the videos I watch, they say that there's not a lot of math on the national, so that's good to hear that.
Yeah, there was a decent amount. There's probably like 3 to 4 questions maybe with math. It's not too crazy though. It was just like, yeah, it wasn't too crazy. Yeah, it wasn't like overwhelmingly difficult. Just gotta like read through the questions too, and just take your time. That was one thing. I feel like I was in a rush this first few times around, but you might as well take as much time as you're given.
Right. Did you take it at home or at the actual place?
So I took it at a library, and like I had a room reserved, and then just went down there and took it. So I took it online.
Okay, nice.
That was one difficult thing though, is like you go through like Pearson VUE, and the way that they proctor it. I had to find a laptop that would download it, because like you need like the newest version of a Mac or a Windows. So that's just something to just think about before if you already have a laptop that's updated and everything, then you should be fine. But
Oh, yeah, no, I don't. Okay.
So I was able to rent one from the library and it was smooth. So yeah.
Okay, nice. Good to know.
Yep.
All right, cool. Well, we are gonna work on some state stuff. Gonar, what I want to make sure is, so what you sent me, we are conveyance procedures and protection of parties. I want to do that. Unfortunately, there's no, so usually there's like a chapter that deals with that specifically. There's not anything that pops up with those specific titles. That was more like title work, estates, how things get transferred from person to person, correct?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So what we will do is we're gonna go through that and then rights and remedies as well too. Just a little bit, but I just want to make sure that I'm getting all of the stuff that we need. So we're going to, bear with me. Perfect. Okay. We're just gonna bump through some questions really fast. Because I want to make sure we get through as much as we can. And then Gonar, what we'll do is if you're feeling still like we need some more time, we can schedule something tonight too.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay, cool. All right. So an owner of a condominium unit is in default on her monthly association fee. What remedy is available to the association? Do you guys know?
No, but woke up sick this morning, so I'm having like a whole fit right now. So
No worries. You take care of yourself too. So we've got A, foreclosure by advertisement on its assessment lien, if necessary. B, change the lock on the unit's door until payment is received. C, file a special assessment lien on the recorder's office. Or D, no remedy.
Could you repeat A?
Foreclosure by advertisement on its assessment lien, if necessary.
I want to say C or A.
Okay. Walk me through why you think those two.
Because the last one, there's got to be a remedy for that.
Yep.
And then B, what was B again?
Change the locks.
I don't think that you can just go in and change somebody's locks. And
No.
then I don't think that you could even foreclose by advertisement off for a property like that, because that's a condo or a condominium.
It says a condominium. Yep. So it is actually A. Yep.
So you can still foreclose and advertise the condominium.
Mhm.
Okay, let me take a note.
Yep. So let's look at what foreclosure by advertisement is. Let me get to the right page. I wish they would also tell me. Okay, bear with me. I'm going to find it for you. So foreclosure by advertise. Oh, forget this. We're just going to do it my way. I'll share my screen with you all. Okay, so foreclosure by advertisement. In Minnesota, the process of foreclosing on a property by advertising the foreclosure sale rather than filing a lawsuit. So instead of going to court and having the judge go, okay, you're out, they can get their property back. What they do is they actually put it up on a sheriff's sale.
Okay.
Cheap, and here you can see it's cheaper, simpler, and just faster.
So then do you still have the your redemption time with this?
Yep, you have 6 months of redemption period.
Okay. And is that just the standard in Minnesota? The redemption period is always 6 months? And a foreclosure situation?
Not necessarily, depending on, it might be 1 year, but typically it's 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah. The weird 12 months are typically if there's something weird happening or if it was like a will of some sort.
Okay.
Okay. So that one is A. They can foreclose on that. It is not file a special assessment lien in the recorder's office because the recorder's office doesn't deal with those things.
Oh, okay.
Make sure you hear, and it's tough when I'm reading them to you, I get that. But make sure you're looking at the whole answer, right?
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
And where would they deal with the taxes or like assessment liens?
Counties. They go to
Okay.
the county.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. A married couple has separated. They owned their home as joint tenants, but each has purchased a new home to live in prior to the divorce. What could they do to release each other's interest in properties? A, refile the deeds to the properties to show new ownership. B, get a divorce and give quitclaim deeds to each other. C, file a lis pendens for a quit titled suit. Or D, update the abstracts for each property to show new ownership.
B. Would that be B?
Goanar, what do you think?
They could get a divorce and file for a quick claim, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the tenants. That sounds about right. With the quit claim, then that kind of wipes them off of gets them out of the deed.
I heard every like third word there. Can you just repeat yourself?
Sorry.
No
I
worries.
said, yeah, B sounds about right because a quit claim would get them out of get them off the deed if they agree to it.
Yes. Yep. What is a lis pendens?
Lis pendens is
Not the answer.
It is not the answer. That is correct.
I only know this because we went over this the other week, and it makes me feel so happy that I'm retaining the information.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
Lis pendens is the notice of a lawsuit being filed. There is legal action pending.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So that's it. It's just important to know.
okay.
Okay. Number 3. A seller must disclose the status and location of all known wells on the property before A, signing the listing agreement, B, signing a purchase agreement, C, advertising the property for sale, D, substantive contact is made with a potential buyer.
See, they have to do that even in the sales ad because it's a law. It's a law to make sure that it's known that there's wells on the property. Right?
So it needs to be in the listing agreement? Or
Yeah.
not in the list? Okay.
I think.
I got another question on top of that too.
Okay, hang tight. So a seller must disclose the status and location of all known wells on the property before signing a listing agreement. Who are they going to disclose it to if they don't have a listing agreement?
They gotta disclose it to the buyer.
But they don't even have a listing agreement. So they're not listed yet.
Oh.
So it's not listing agreement.
The first substantive.
So that means that anybody looking online at their house would know where their well is on the property.
Right.
We don't want to disclose that information because that is super personal.
Oh, what?
Yep.
So
we don't tell people where the well is when they're just looking at the house. We tell them that there is one, but we do not tell them the location because
Oh,
We
you
don't
have
want people to be
tell
able to-
them, you don't have to give them the location.
correct. So this is where the location is. So it's actually B. Sign before signing a purchase agreement.
Okay.
So you were real close, but it's a purchase agreement. So when you're the seller, when you're representing the seller, what happens is you get an offer from a buyer. Okay, great, cool. The first thing you do is you send over the location of the well disclosure.
So,
And then
Okay,
they
so
have to
when do you
sign
need
that
to
as well.
disclose the fact that there is a well, and not the
What's that?
location. When you need to disclose them that there is a well and not the specific location.
right.
That is while they're looking at the property. That's on the MLS disclosure sheet.
Okay.
So
Do you
as they're
put that in
touring
your
the house,
listing or what? Or you still wouldn't put that in your listing then? Or just
it is on the listing. Yep.
So
Okay.
the only difference is they know right away, right up front, but the only time you gotta tell them the location of it is when you sign the, okay.
Correct. Yep. Okay, Goanar, what was your question?
so then what if, let's say on a property, there's more than one well. So this is something that's tripped me up. Is like, so if on a property there's 4 wells, 3 of them are closed up, or 3 of them aren't running anymore.
Yep.
Is it up to the seller then to close those? Does the seller have to get like a professional to close them, or is that just something that you can do on your own?
Yep. Good question. So if there are multiple wells, typically both, let's say there's 2, because that's very common is 2. I'll get to your 4 well scenario in a second. 2 wells, typically one is then used for outside water, like watering flowers and gardens and such like that. Then
Yeah.
the second well is for the inside of the house. If they are still being used, then they are functioning, and you make sure that then you have somebody come out and inspect the well before you sell. If they are not being used, let's say you got hooked up to city water for everything, but those wells have not been capped, it is up to the seller to make sure that those are capped if they are no longer in use and cannot be used. There are people who have both city water as well as well water. A lot of people will use well for again, like the gardens and stuff, and city water for their house. So just because they have city water doesn't necessarily mean that they can't have well water.
Okay. And then in terms of capping those wells, do you have to do that, get someone out there professionally? Can you do that on your own
Yes.
as the seller?
No.
And you have to
It's
let
you
them know
can't.
as well, right?
Yes. Yep. Whether it's capped or not, you still have to disclose the location because it's still a big freaking giant hole in the ground.
Right, but
Yeah,
that's
so you
not
do
in
need
the purchase agreement.
It is still that would be at the purchase agreement. You would still disclose the listing
The
or
location.
the location. Correct.
And so
Okay.
you said you do need to have somebody professionally come out to take care of those?
Correct. Yep. You cannot.
Okay.
There is,
Okay.
you just can't. You actually have to have a certificate that says you had it done professionally and properly.
Okay.
Yep. Cool. Does that help?
Yep.
Awesome. That's my job. All right. A married couple is getting a divorce. They currently own a home as joint tenants. Their divorce will A, create spousal rights lien on the property. B, create a tenancy in common. C, not affect the homesteaded property. Or D, sever the joint tenancy.
I want to say D.
I was thinking B. But okay, what's the answer?
Okay. No, that's okay. So when you get when you're getting a divorce, joint tenants, to go from joint tenants to tenancy in common, what you're doing is you're dividing up percentages of who gets what percentage of the house, essentially, to simplify it.
Can you repeat that?
Yep. So from joint tenants
Okay.
Means that I own 100% of my house. My husband owns 100% of my house. We own it together. And if he dies, I still own it. I don't
If
have
you
to go
get a
through probate.
divorce, you have to split it up, which would turn it into tenants and
Nope. So joint tenants still, or tenancy in common, they still own it together. That would mean that I own 50%, my husband owns 50%. If he dies, he gets to will his half to somebody.
Dang.
After the divorce, it turns into Tenancy in common.
I didn't hear that.
So after the divorce, it turns into Tenancy in common.
No,
Oh, okay.
no,
Okay.
it severs joint tenancy. So you got to pick who keeps the house,
Okay.
or you sell it and you split the proceeds.
Okay.
Yep.
The answer is B.
The answer is D. It severs the joint tenancy.
Okay.
It does not turn into tenancy in common.
Okay.
Yep. You cannot go from one type of ownership to another without a whole bunch of other legal stuff, which I guess a divorce is doing it anyways. But that doesn't, no. Okay. Any questions?
No.
Okay. All of the following would be considered common interest communities, except a planned community, a fourplex, a condominium, or a cooperative. I'll repeat that. All of the following, except blank, would be considered common interest communities. A planned community, a fourplex, a condominium, or a cooperative.
I'd say the fourplex.
I agree.
Yep. Why?
It's the only one that kind of stood out, and then on top of that, that's just like one person could just own that, and it wouldn't really be like one person could just own it and I guess rent it out, and it wouldn't be necessarily a. What was the question? Said a planned community or a all the farms are a what? Except,
Common interest communities. So if
Oh,
one
yeah,
person
yeah.
owned the fourplex and rented
Yeah,
it
then
out,
there's
there
no-
would be common elements, potentially. The
Okay.
planned community is like a
Yeah.
community garden, right?
Yeah.
A fourplex has 4 driveways,
Mhm.
right? The only thing that they share is the wall in between them,
Oh,
but nobody uses that wall, right? Nobody's running around inside that wall.
except for mice. Right.
Those are the things that I'm like deathly afraid of mice. And I was in a house the other day that had a dead mouse, like just sitting in the basement. I was out of that basement so fast. A condominium. What could be a common interest element in the condominium?
I like a pool.
Yep.
Yeah. Any common areas? I guess.
Maybe like an elevator.
Workout, something, elevator.
How about a parking lot?
No, because they need to provide that if they can. No.
It is still common. Everybody needs to park in a parking lot.
Right, they share it. Okay.
Yep. So that would be a common element.
Okay.
And then a cooperative is obviously everybody shares a piece. Okay, good job, you guys. That's really good. All right, number 6. An individual holds ownership in a condominium in severalty plus A, joint tenancy in the common elements, B, severalty owner in the common elements, C, divided interest in the common elements, or D, tenancy in common in the common elements.
I have no idea.
One question, and this might give it up, so it's okay if you don't answer it. But is tenancy in common always a completely equal share of everyone that's in it?
No.
Or no? Okay.
Nope. It's the division that you decide at closing.
Okay. And then I would say it is. I think I want to say C, the divided interest, and well,
an individual holds ownership in a condominium in severalty plus tenancy in common in the common elements, divided interest, severalty ownership, or joint tenancy. So let's break it down, okay? So the question is asking what type of ownership is in the common elements. So we just went over the common elements, right?
Yep. It's
Elevator,
not-
stairs, parking lot, gym, pool, any library, the lobby. Okay. So they own, let's say there's 4 units in this condo.
Yep.
Okay, just simple numbers. Okay. There's a 500 square foot, a 600 square foot, 1,000 square feet, and 2,000 square feet condo. Okay.
Mhm.
So do you think that the person that has 2,000 square feet probably owns a higher percentage, you think, of the common elements? Or do they own the same amount?
I mean, I would say, I wouldn't say that they should own anymore because if it's common elements, like everybody should have the same right and access to it. So if somebody were to own more of it, like you can't, like if the person that owns 2,000 feet compared to the person that owns like 500 or whatever, is like they can't ever restrict that person from using the elevator. So they should all have the same. They should all have the same like whole.
So you can't restrict use, correct?
Yeah.
Let's
They
look
should all
at if
have-
something needs to be fixed. Let's look
They
at
need to be-
fixing something. The elevator breaks,
Yeah.
okay? And it's gonna cost $10,000 to fix it. Should that cost be divided up equally 4 ways? Or should the person
Yeah.
that owns the bigger amount of the building be responsible for a bigger chunk of that price?
I mean, I would say it should be divided up equal ways because you can't say like the person that owns the biggest chunk uses it the most, like everybody equally uses it when they please.
Right. That would be
It
nice.
goes
That
in
is not the
percentages.
case.
It goes in percentages of
Correct.
whoever owns the
Yep.
most.
Yep.
So if that person owns the most, they need to pay their percentage when it comes down to that.
Correct. Yep. So it's just like an HOA fee. The bigger the condo, the bigger the HOA fee. The bigger the condo, the bigger chunk of ownership. Now, you're correct. They don't get to tell somebody that they don't get to use it or anything like that. It merely comes down to essentially repair costs. That's the biggest reason.
So then
Okay.
this would be Tennessee. This would be. So they
Say
don't
it.
have the right to survivorship, or what you said? A.
Well, there's joint tenancy, severalty, divided interest, or tenancy in common.
Divided interest.
Divided interest, or it's not severalty. I don't
Correct.
think it's tenancy in common.
Okay, let's walk through this. What's joint tenancy?
Oh,
We just
Joint
talked about it with
tenants.
married couples.
100% share
Everybody owns it equally.
equally, right?
So there's no percentage, there's no splitting it up. We all own it and we all deal with it.
And then joint tenancy, though, you don't get to pass that in a will. If you're a joint tenant, you don't get to put a will in that.
Correct. Joint tenancy has the right of survivorship.
What do you mean joint tenancy has a right of survivorship? It doesn't. It
So-
doesn't have the right of survivorship.
It does. So the right of survivorship is if everybody who owned the property, let's say there's
Yeah.
3 people, let's just for giggles, say there's 3 people, okay?
Yep.
It's joint tenancy. They own a house and it's joint tenancy. All 3 of those people are in a car accident. 1 person dies. The right of survivorship, they've survived the car crash. Those 2 people now own it on their own.
Okay.
Now let's talk
Okay.
about tenancy in common. Tenancy in common, there's 3 people, same 3 people. They're
Yep.
in the car crash, somebody dies. That person, the other 2 that have survived the car crash do not get right of survivorship because person A who died had a will in place saying that his chunk goes to his kid. So now his kid owns that 3rd chunk.
Okay. If he didn't have the will, then how would they decide that?
Then it would
be-
go through probate
Okay.
and the courts would decide.
Would figure it out. Okay. So it
Yep.
is divided interest.
It is not divided interest. Divided interest is something totally different. It's actually tenancy in common.
Jeez. Okay.
Mhm.
So it's tenancy in common because they have different shares of the common areas, and
Yep.
but like it doesn't say anything about them being able to put a will or anything.
Nope. So all it says is an individual holds ownership in a condominium in severalty plus. So I own my condo. My 4 walls, ceiling and floor, I own.
Yep.
And whatever chunk percentage of building that is, that's what I own as an owner of the common
Okay.
elements. Now, I sell my condo. This is where right of survivorship comes in, right? I'm not dying. I just sold my condo.
Yeah.
Where does my percentage go?
Your percentage goes to whoever you sold it to.
Correct. It doesn't go to the other owners, right?
Yeah.
It's not like whoever was here first gets it. It's who I pick, who I decide to sell to. That's why it's tenancy in common. Does that help explain?
Yeah. Yeah. One thing
Okay.
that's tough to on the state one is just deciphering between joint tenancy and tenancy in common. Because it's just, I'm pretty good
Yep.
at the severalty just because like that, for the most part, just a singular and by itself.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, just getting a better grasp on these will definitely help.
So the trick I use to remember joint tenancy,
Yeah.
when you join together with your spouse, you enter into joint tenancy. Tenancy in common means that I have a common share or a common, what did I use?
Interest or common.
Yeah, I kind of. I owned a common element with other people.
So joint tenancy is like you all have an equal share, and then tenants in common is like it could whatever is worked out in the contract or whatever is.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So joint tenancy, don't get hung up on percentages, right? It's my husband and I don't share 50-50. It's not like if he decided to sell, I could decide to keep half the house. It's we own it together. Both of our names are on there. And if he's scratched his name out because he died or whatever, I would own all of it then.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Cool. All right. That's an important one. All right. Next one. The owner of a property has applied for a building permit for new construction that will include a private septic system. What's a private septic system? That's a question. What's a private septic system, guys?
Oh. You said an owner had just applied for a building permit.
Yeah, I'm just
They want
asking to
to
make
build a
sure you guys know about private septic systems. So what is it?
That means they put it in? That owner?
It means like, yeah.
Listen to the question. What?
All
I'm asking is what is a private septic system?
all like the water, the wastewater is treatment.
It's the
like
plumbing.
happens right there at the house. Yeah, that happens.
Yep,
right there
that's it.
on the property.
It's the plumbing.
Oh,
Instead of being hooked up to city sewer, it's your own sewage. That's it.
Oh,
Okay.
Yep, don't get too fancy with it. That's what I was asking. I want to make sure that you guys are dumb it down.
a
That's
septic,
okay.
so septic, a private septic tank is
It's your own private sewage.
Gotcha.
That's it. Own private sewage. Okay, so the owner of a property has applied for a building permit for new construction that will include a private septic system. In order to obtain a building permit, the owner must obtain which document from a licensed inspector or site evaluator? Certificate of occupancy, certificate of approval, certificate of compliance, or certificate of underground tanks. The print is bad on that one, sorry.
I want to say certificate of underground tanks, because the first one, certificate of, what's the first one say? It was like certificate of,
Occupancy.
oh, certificate of occupancy. Isn't that more for like when a building's ready and it's supposed to be moved into, like people are ready to move into it?
Yep, means that it is okay to occupy. Yep.
Yeah. The certificate of approval just sounds too generic, I guess.
I was gonna say, it's
Like-
not really a thing.
Yeah. And then the other one is certificate of,
Compliance.
well, like, yeah, okay. So it could be either one of those, certificate of compliance or certificate of, I don't know if the last one is a thing. Certificate of compliance, that sounds legit, I guess.
Okay, certificate of underground tanks isn't a thing either. It's a certificate of compliance.
Okay.
You need to make sure that the septic system doesn't use tanks. It's not like an underground gas tank or anything like that. It literally is a giant pipe that goes out into a field and then just empties out.
Well, it just runs through like pipes and then just drains out. Jeez. How
Yep.
do you, so people will build that or on the property themselves, or have someone come down and do it, or how does that like?
Nope, it has to be done by a licensed person.
So you need a certificate of, what was it called?
Compliance. Yep,
Okay, okay. Let me take a note.
means that the whole septic system is in compliance. Means it's built properly.
Okay.
All right. When no, you know what? We're gonna go down one more. When a licensed inspector grants approval of a new septic system, the certificate is valid for how many years?
Okay, this is one that I know was for sure giving me problems on the exam.
Sorry, I didn't hear that. What?
This
one was giving you
that
trouble?
This one was for sure giving me problems on the exam.
Okay.
I went with, I want to say 3 or 2 years.
Okay. A new septic system is brand new. They just put it in. And so they know that there's no issues with the piping. They know there's no issues with anything else.
Yep.
So it's 1, 2, 3, or 5 years.
5.
It's 5.
I would just think
Okay.
just because it's out, I would think like that'd be a trick question. So in that question, I would think like logically, like if it's brand new, like she just explained, I'd just go for like the most. But if it's been like used, I don't know.
Okay, so if it is a used
It'd be
septic
2.
system, it'd be 3.
Right. I would think of like, I'd put that one as like the less amount of years in that question.
Yep. So a used septic system that has just gotten a certificate is 3 years. And unfortunately, there's no trick. There's no rhyme or reason that's just something you have to know.
Okay. Another question is, so let's say then, if a contractor came and did some work on a house, how many years is the warranty good on that work that he did?
It's an existing
Ooh.
house and it's based on the contractor.
So it's just his situation. Okay. There was
New
one
house
specific
is
question
different.
Okay.
New house is different. 1, 3, 10.
Okay.
1 year for everything. 3 years for appliances. 10 years for structure.
Hold on. Okay, so let me make a note of that.
Mhm.
So you said 1 year for
Everything.
okay, and then 3 years for appliances,
Correct.
and then 10 years for structure.
There you go.
So then another question then, what happens if in the meantime, let's say that there was a new house built and the contractor just set everything up so that you had 10 years, but in year 5, the contractor dies.
Good question. What do you think happens?
Shoot, I don't know. I don't know.
That's a real thing. Unfortunately it happens, right? People die.
Yeah, does that policy stay with like how do you get if something if the structure deteriorates in the year 6, how do you get reimbursed? How do you go about that if the contractor was just they work by themselves?
That's too bad.
Oh, jeez.
That's it. There is no, it's
There's no remedy for that.
no.
Jeez.
What you would want to do is
There's
double
no-
check and see if the company was bought by someone.
Okay.
Was the company bought? If it was bought, then they now are in charge of all of the warranties.
Okay.
But if it just, the guy died and that was it,
Yeah.
I mean, who are you going to go to?
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, we've got about 15 minutes left. I want to make sure that I answer any questions that you guys have here first.
Another question I have is how long do you have to give? 2 questions. So if you are the property manager in a place, how long do you have until you, number one, have to give your tenant their security deposit back if everything's checked off? And then also, how long do you have to give them their stuff if they left stuff in the property?
Why don't you tell me what you think it is first, and then we'll talk through it.
So
let's go with the deposit first. Yep.
With the deposit, I would say I wanted to say that it was about like 2 weeks. I've seen an option that said 7 days, but I feel like that's if you have a pretty big property and you have a decent amount of turnover, like that could take a while to process everything. So I wanted to go in the middle of like 2 weeks. I know like 30 days is an option, but that seemed like that was very long.
Like it's
And
30
then,
days.
yeah, I guess 30 days wouldn't be too bad either because the deposit was.
I don't know. That's just what I would go with.
Oh yeah. But then to get their stuff back too, I was thinking about.
I think that's
2
less
weeks.
time.
So I want to tell you exactly right. So I'm going to just Google it. So landlords, 3 weeks.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay, you were close.
So you're right. 2 weeks is just not enough time. I agree with you on that.
How
But-
could you remember that?
He just flashcards, make some flashcards. Literally for some of these timelines, like 3 weeks here, 10 days there, 2 years. Unfortunately, there's no trick. You just got to remember them. It sucks, and hope
That's
that they
true.
don't ask them on the test.
So that'd be-
So 3 weeks for security deposit for their stuff.
Wait,
A
so
landlord
3
must
weeks
hold on
for the
to
security.
a tenant's private property for 30 days, I believe.
Oh, so I was, oh, okay, so it was opposite from what I was thinking. I was thinking like they're not a freaking storage cow.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
28 days. Okay, so 28 days. And then they can do with it what they will.
Cool.
There you go.
28, that's a weird number, but cool.
They picked 28 because that's if somebody think about it, they got to get it cleaned out, so that's a day.
Oh.
And they got to keep it, they got to get it clean. Typically they'll keep it in the unit.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's a day to get it cleaned out and a day to clean up the apartment afterwards.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. There you go. Cool. That's a good question. What else can I answer for you? What other
I
questions
guess
do you
let's
remember?
just do some more. Let's just do some more. I would say like maybe like some more days just for him. Like how many days does it for like a return check or stuff, something like that.
Yeah.
If
So
you have any day questions in there, that would be really good.
okay, cool. What they in Minnesota property taxes are due and payable what days? I'm not going to give you the options. You should just know these two are two you should know.
Can you read that one more time?
In Minnesota, property taxes are due and payable on these 2 days.
The 1st and 15th. I don't know.
They're specific dates.
One of them is for sure October 15th, I want to say.
Yep. What's the other one?
Either March or May. Maybe I'll go with May 15th to May 15th. Yeah, October 15th to May 15th.
It's April 5th, tax days.
Well, it's
Tax
all
days.
different because of COVID.
April 15th and October 15th.
April 15th.
Minnesota property taxes.
Yep. April 15th and October 15th, the 2 tax days.
Mm.
Okay.
Oh, another question. You said October 15th and when?
April 15th.
April.
So when do you need to get your if you're gonna apply for another homestead exemption? So if you have like 2 residences, when do you
You
need
can
to
only
file?
homestead one.
Okay, yeah. So if you're gonna only homestead one, when do you need to have that second property? It's like when do you need to either move in there by or have it?
I guess explain to me what you mean.
So there's a question that was like, in order to get the homestead exemption, you
Yep.
need to have moved into that property on a certain date. I want to say it might be this, or you need to file it on a certain date or something like.
Yep. Okay. So for homesteading to take place, you buy a house this year, 2022. Okay, it doesn't matter when. To be homesteaded for taxes for 2023, you must have your homesteaded paperwork filed with the county by December 15th.
Okay.
You only have to do it once.
Yep.
Just the year that you move in. And then you're good for
Okay.
until you move out.
Okay.
Cool. All right. I got a good one for you here. The owner of a steel fabrication plant has decided to install a 1,200 gallon underground storage tank. The owner must notify the pollution control agency 10 days before, 10 days after, 15 days before, or 30 days before installation.
10 days before.
You're saying 10?
10 days before, yeah. Maybe. Can you look at me so I can tell if I'm right or wrong?
Sorry. Sorry. That was so funny just now. That made my night. Can you please look at me? Okay, 10 days. Goanar, what do you think?
I'll go with 30.
It is 10 days before.
10 days
Yeah, 'cause
before.
we just went
Yep.
over this. Okay.
Can you read
Yep.
that question one more time?
Absolutely. The owner of a steel fabrication plant has decided to install a 1,200 gallon underground storage tank. The size does not matter, by the way. The owner must notify the pollution control agency 10 days before installation.
Okay.
And why is it such short notice again? I forgot why. Because it like really has like it just goes with the flow or something. I don't
Yeah.
remember what.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just kind of like
there's-
works like that.
They just need to notify. There's nothing that they need to do. They just need to know what's happening. That way,
They can put it in their books.
exactly. Yep.
Cool.
They don't need to go out and inspect it or search it or anything like that to make sure it's good. At least this group doesn't, right? This group
Right.
just needs to know about it. Let's say a mile out, there was a giant explosion that contaminates water, underground water. Well, there's a storage tank that's holding water.
They'd have to notify those properties.
Exactly. They just need to know who to notify in case of an emergency or be able to locate the source of an issue. Let's say there's a leak on this tank.
Right.
They need to know, okay, there are 5 dots around here and it could be any one of these 5. Let's just go to these 5 spots and look.
Gosh.
Yep. Okay. Jones is the owner of an apartment building and plans to convert it to condominiums. Jones must give the tenants an option to purchase the unit they are occupying at least how long after delivery of the notice to vacate?
Let's read it.
Jones. Yep. Jones is the owner of an apartment building.
Mhm.
He plans to convert it to condominiums. What does that mean? If it's going from apartments to condos, what's the difference?
Oh. Percentage.
I mean, in the structure of it, it'll be like it'll change their, people in there will be going from like.
You're thinking too hard.
tenants.
Change of ownership.
I mean,
Change of ownership.
Change of ownership.
Bingo, Kaylee.
alright,
Change of ownership. That's it. There's
okay.
he's not doing anything weird to it. It's literally who
Yeah.
owns the 4 walls and the floor. That's it.
Okay.
Right, but if that owner, so if they, okay, that not going on to a different question. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, ask me in a minute. So plans to convert to condominiums. Jones must give the tenants an option to purchase the unit they are occupying at least how long after delivery of the notice to vacate. So I own the apartment buildings. I'm going to go tell my tenants, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. You have X number of days to tell me that you want, I need you out in X number of days. You have this many days to tell me if you want to purchase or not.
Hmm.
How many days? Did they
2
get?
30.
months, 60 days.
I think I heard it, but I didn't hear.
60
Sorry.
days, 2 months.
Kaylee says 60. What did you say, Goanar?
I said 30.
It is 60 days.
60 days.
It is 60 days. Yep.
I'm so happy I'm retaining this information.
Think about how long does it take? How long do you need to give your landlord to tell them that you're moving out?
2 months.
Mm-hmm. So he needs 2 months to tell if you're going to be moving out or if you're going to be buying it.
And isn't that so crazy? Like I'm in the process right now deciding if I want to move out, and right now I'm coming up to my 2 months, and I'm just like, how can somebody do that and like know that for sure they're gonna find a place when you're
Yeah.
renting? But yeah. Whatever.
Yep.
Life.
All right. It is 7:30. What other questions do you guys have?
I'm good right now.
You're good? Okay.
I need
Goanar?
homework. I need you to give me homework.
Okay. All right. I can work on that for next time. I don't have
Yeah.
anything ready for you now, but I can do that.
Okay. That'll keep me to hold myself accountable.
I like it. I can do that.
You got my number. You can always text it if you come up with it.
I can do that. Okay. If I come up with something, I'll let you know. Goanar, any questions?
No, nothing else I can think of. I think a lot of this stuff will definitely help me
Okay.
for sure.
Let's set up another time. I can give you another hour or so in the week. When are you taking your state test again?
I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I am not exactly sure yet, but
Well, let me look at my calendar.
okay.
Are you coming up in the next couple of weekends to see your mom and dad or anything?
Yeah, I'll be up here. I'll be up here in Minneapolis. I'll be in Minnesota this week for sure. Yeah, or within the next few weeks here, probably like the next 3 weekends. I'll be back.
Okay, why don't you tell me, text me when you're here
Okay.
or when you know you're here or something, and we'll just figure out a time because it's just easier in
Okay.
person.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Cool.
Okay.
Especially if you don't quite know. Keep studying the Minnesota stuff. You
Yeah.
got this.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
Sounds
Right,
good.
bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tenley.
You guys are welcome. Good job tonight. This was good.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.